at the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis for a Regis dialogue with Claire Denis. Tonight's program is called Claire Denis, Unpredictable Universe, and we'll talk with Claire about her remarkable career as a film director. From her first film, Chocolat, to her latest, White Material, Denis has explored the human costs and political perversions of colonialism, inhabiting African landscapes with both a physical intimacy and psychic estrangement. In films like Nanette and Bonnie and 35 Shots of Rum, she approaches the domestic sphere with an equal degree of mystery and expansiveness, approaching the everyday with curiosity, sensuality, and rigorous humanity. And with her masterpieces Beau Travail and The Intruder, Denis pursued abstracted narratives of seductive tactility. They pulse and breathe and invite the viewer to inhabit them as much as see them. She shoots for that sweet spot where film form contemplates consciousness, where the advancing present instantly retreats to a remembered past, and where what's literal overlaps with what's imagined. I'm Eric Hynes, a New York-based writer and critic. Now we'll begin our Regis dialogue with Claire Denis.
Good evening.
Hello, everybody. So I think we're actually going to start with a clip to begin things. So it's actually the first sequence of Claire's first film, Chocolat.
Vous allez à toi là?
Il n'y a pas de départ avant 1 heure.
C'est trop con ça. Montez, moi aussi je vais à Douala. Dumbu.
Bemba.
Bemba.
Miso.
Niso.
Miso.
Niso.
Matoy.
Matoy.
Nyo.
Nyo.
Lopo.
Lopo.
Bombo.
Bonbon. Bonbon.
Bombo.
Ah, mon titi, mon yao, mon âme. Comment tu t'appelles?
France.
France. Vive la France.
Long time, huh?
Long time. Well, before I even start then, I mean, do you feel a connection to the filmmaker still who made that?
Yes and no, because me, I'm not the same, of course, and this country, Cameroon, is not the same either. I will certainly not feel that easy nowadays. And the only thing that makes me feel it's me, it's to see Isaac's face, because I've been working with him since, and to see Isaac 24 years ago, I mean, it's really, it's good.
Well, I mean, he's gorgeous, so I mean...
No, he's gorgeous, but it's also good to... I don't know. in that film, some people are dead now, you know. And Isaac is, I know him, I still work with him, so it's a sort of continuation of something that reminds me that I was there too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's my first prepared question, then, because of that clip, was if you could talk to us a little bit about how much of your childhood and your life made its way into the character of Franz. I mean, I know that it's somewhat based on your own life, but at the same time, I know that it's a fictional creation. And when you look back on it, do you think of your own life, or do you think of the film?
I think a character like that is not completely fiction, even the white parents, because it's thing I remembered, not only from my own childhood, but from the context of my childhood. It was not through melancholy that I wanted to go back to those years. It was as I thought, if I make a film, the first film, I should do it to market that I am who I am because I grew there. So that was important for me. And the second thing maybe is that I didn't want to make a film with a sort of message that colonization was terrible or whatever. I just wanted to speak about this character of Isaac is interpreting, of someone who has not a bad life, but is in a situation where he is permanently humiliated by nice people, people who will never want to harm him, you know. Just the situation is like that. So, but the child itself, herself, as I remember while writing the script, she was not existing really. She was like the thread for the flashback, and while we were writing the script, she was like a bore. I thought, oh my God, I will have to direct her to find a kid, and you know. And then it was easy in the end, but it was not so. It was. I thought it was going to be much more difficult.
Was there an aspect of something about the character that Isaac is playing, something about that figure that was unresolved for you, that you wanted to go back and actually look at the character of I mean, did you know people that way, that you sensed that as an adult you actually were ready to start interrogating what that life was like?
No, but if I was looking, it was not like remembering or watching family still photographs, you know, of my childhood with my family. There was always the boy there, or the gardener, or the cook, you know. And they had names that we remember, because children were at ease with those. They were young men normally, you know. And we were probably more at ease with them than our parents. And I think also there was a book, a famous book, written by a Cameroonese writer who is dead now long ago. He started as a boy, and he wrote, his first book is called The Life of a Boy. And I remember reading that when I was a teenage, and suddenly reinterpreting a sort of guiltiness I had since I was very small. Not a guiltiness, let's say, guiltiness is maybe too strong a word, but a vague feeling of when a plate was presented to me. I knew that when I was back to see my grandparents, no one was washing the dish but my grandmother, or things like that suddenly were so strange that when I was going back to where we were supposed to live in Africa, whether it was in Cameroon or in Burkina Faso, we were living like in the 19th century. That was very weird.
Even when you said the sort of life of a boy as the memoir, that it's referring to the fact that they're actually called boys. They're not.
In fact, in that book, the boy has stolen something, I guess. In the end, he's dying. It's a very tragical story, but it starts by being humiliated. It takes place in the 40s, I guess,
When you go back to Africa now, do you feel that it's home, or do you feel like a tourist, sort of, the way that France answers that question?
I don't feel like a tourist, but I must say that I never felt like a tourist nowhere. I don't know, I'm too curious, maybe. Even if I go a place I'd never been before, I don't want to look like a tourist. I don't want to feel like a tourist. Maybe I look like a tourist, but I don't want to feel like a tourist. And of course, I'm not like France, but I think it's not home. It's a place that I've known at different period, and it's that it has connection with me physically, because the smell or the food or all the thing that comes back from childhood, even some schools I remember and still exist, some houses. And a feeling of that that quality of heat that I always feel good with, but it's not home. It was never home. We were raised by reasonable people. We were never raised as if it was home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So thanks God. No, I mean, we had we were not raised with brutality. We were raised trying to be seeing things. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to read a bit of dialogue from towards the end of Chocolat to talk about. It's the father is talking to France, who's a diplomat. Is that correct to say, or
no? In the film, is like an administrateur, which is a civil officer.
Civil officer, okay.
Mm.
So
it's not at all as there is a big difference with diplomat. Number one, in the time of colonial, there was no diplomat because there was no diplomacy to be made, you know. And also a civil, my father was a young man. As a civil officer, he was like a low, he was not an important person, so he was sent into the bush, you know, on small places. Okay. And it was not grand, you know, it was like, that's all I wanted to say.
So he says, and this of course refers to the first thing we see in the film. When you look at the hills beyond the houses and beyond the trees, where the earth touches the sky, that's the horizon. Tomorrow in the daytime, I'll show you something. The closer you get to that line, the farther it moves. If you walk towards it, it moves away. It flees from you. I must explain this to you. You see the line, you see it, but it doesn't exist. And it seems to me that horizons keep coming back in your films. Do you feel like you're still actually chasing that horizon?
I am ashamed of those lines.
Oh, really?
I wish they were not existing. I think one day I felt like writing a sort of interesting piece of dialogue, and I honestly think it's really bullshit. No, I have to say.
No, it's good. But in a sense, you're doing something in dialogue that you're not doing anymore.
But I think it's because I wanted so much to look like a sort of intellectual who could say, a father speaking to... My father never told me things like that. Hopefully. And I don't know why I kept that. I think I kept it because I think the day we were shooting, I wanted to cut it. I was so ashamed.
Even at the time, you were ashamed of it?
When shooting, yes, I realized it was stupid. But the actor had learned the line and he said, "No, please don't cut those lines. I love them, you know."
But you could have left it out when you edited.
But then it would have been a sort of cheating him, you know. So I kept it, but I could not.
But nevertheless, I still think it's interesting that, in a sense, what he's saying explicitly is something that is implicit, I feel, in a lot of the films after that. Or at least visually, in the sense of...
Maybe, but I don't understand very well the meaning. I think it's sort of stupidly poetic and whatever, you know. I never... The horizon line never bothered me really much, actually. Except when
but it's the first shot of your film.
I'm lost in the sea, you know, and I'm afraid to drown, but no. No, yeah. The first shot it's a sea with a sort of grey horizon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that there is one thing I remember. This is true, and it's something, if I had enough money, I would have started the film like that. I remember when I was a kid, usually my father would go before us by plane, and the family will follow on a boat, because we have all the stuff, you know, the dishes, you know, the pillow, the clothes, everything, towels. And all this stuff you couldn't take into a plane, you know. So we were in that boat, and I always remember when the boat get to Guinea Gulf near Cameroon, where it's close to the equator. The coastline is dark green because it's not sand or desert or mountain. It's flat and forest. And I remember that line because it's almost it's so dark, and it's like a wall. You know, it's nothing you feel you can't penetrate. You know. It's really impressive the first time, even second time. This I remember, but it's not the horizon. It's a vision of. If I think today of the Portuguese who were the first to get into Cameroon, because Cameroon means shrimp in Portuguese, big shrimp, and there were big shrimp there. I think that they were brave to approach this dark coast, because it's a little bit. I don't know. It's not charming, you know, it's terrifying in a way. Mm.
Well, with that, I think we're going to move on to another clip. I think I could spend the entire time talking about chocolat with you. But this is the one moment we're going to sort of break out of chronology and actually go to the most recent film that was released, White Material, and sort of look at that in conjunction with chocolat.
It's good Maria is not speaking about the horizon line. Ah.
I'm briefly going to read from Chocolat again. Hopefully it's not as embarrassing to you. But there's a short scene in Chocolat where the father again, almost offhandedly says, one day we'll get kicked out of here.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to sort of think of White Material in that light because in a sense,
Yeah.
We were visiting a white family in Africa, and now's the time that they actually are getting kicked out of here.
Yeah. Of course, he speaks like a civil officer. He speaks about a change in politics. The character of Maria in that film is completely different because she believes she owns this land where she grows coffee, and she believed she's entitled to stay, and that she believes also she's protected, not because she is rich, because she's not, but because she thinks being white made her sort of, it's like a shield, you know, against, and when this moment of civil war starts, she knows it, she's not completely blind, but she thinks that if she's strong enough, she will stay and nothing will happen to her. Although I probably think she's afraid somehow. Mm-hmm. She knows everything is fake in her judgment. But she had no other place to go, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, she says
I would understand her.
She says something else at some point where she says, well, you know, she's asked, why don't you just go back to Paris? And she goes, I can't be brave in Paris. I can't be brave in France. This is where this personality can show itself.
It's true. I remember us or people I know, for instance, like, let's say, while we were shooting, we were staying in a place, sort of hotel, that a French guy built, and there was no other place to go anyway, and he made it in a sort of funky way, like a safari style, you know, a little bit ridiculous. And we were staying there, and we were more than happy to have that place. And he was not such a young man. His wife wanted to go back to France, but they had nothing. With this hotel, they had a style, they had a car, they had a lot of things they know they won't have going back to France. Mm. So it's the kind of thing she knows. There was a moment when we were writing the script, I wanted the last part of the film to be her alone in France and working in a, let's say, a Walmart or something like that, you know. Mm-hmm. And she knows that. Mm-hmm. Because there is a potential of being, to be white makes you slightly above the everyday problem, and it's not true. Mm-hmm.
The other thing I think is really interesting watching that clip after Chocolat is looking at the way that you establish point of view in Chocolat, to sort of see the way that France is directly pan right to her, and then we cut away back and forth, her sort of looking at the young man and his son and appreciating the beauty of their skin on the beach. But then to see white material and to see in some ways things turned around and see the white skin being fetishized and the white material being fondled. Is there a power associated with that? Is there a power to be able to observe the opposite race in that way? Is there anything about that that's being negotiated?
I wouldn't say that, unless it would be a sort of, if I was like believing in doing a voodoo scene or something, you know. In that case, they just entered this house and stole a gun I mean, they're kids, they're children, and suddenly this bigger child is following them and is, I don't know, I think they exaggerate a little bit what they're doing, as if it was a sort of, as if he was almost a disgusting thing, you know, that is, the little boy smell his hair and they call him Yellow Dog. But I think it's a sort of a game just to show him they're stronger because they have a gun, and, you know, I mean, I don't think it has, it's not a very pretentious scene too metaphoric, I hope.
Something related to that, you had told a colleague of mine, Adam Naiman, in an interview of your work, you said every image is about subjectivity. And I would love to sort of talk to you about that a little bit, especially in sort of in relation to what we've seen, because you said it's not so metaphoric, and I think that's actually true, because we're always inside somebody's point of view. We're always experiencing something. You're not showing us a symbolic image. You're showing us what somebody is actually experiencing. So, in relation to your filming, how is every image about subjectivity? How does that work?
For me, there is no other way to plan a film if it's not, so to speak, I have point of view when I make a film. No, but it's hardly impossible to shoot a scene in an emotional way, or for me to feel the scene, if I have not chosen before which point of view it is. Even if it's mine in the end, it has to go through one character. Otherwise, I feel nothing, you know. Then why not make a master shot and close up of this and that? If I feel like this is the point of view of someone, then I know I don't need that shot. Maybe I can see only a sequence shot, for instance. It's really necessary for me, filming, not with a point of view of me about life and the world and the way it goes and blah, 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 but about the characters of the film. This scene starts with this white, almost young man running after those two kids for fun. And suddenly the situation turned against him. So.
What's ironic and dangerous about it, though, too, is there's a
yeah,
sense
because it's two different point of view.
And the other point of view is there's a degree of fun on some of the other the other side too. They're having fun with him, which
And the third point of view is probably, if we go on with the scene, would be Maria, the mother, who discovers her son naked. She doesn't know why, but she sort of guess it's time to go because of that, you know. So it's another point of view of the nakedness from a distance.
Right. The last shot is her observing him. There's something just incredibly, at least to my eyes, effortless about that shifting of point of view. I think that's a lot of filmmakers spend their entire careers trying to somehow establish that many different points of view within the same sequence like that, and it just seems to be I don't want to say it's natural because it's probably a lot of hard work, but it does seem to sort of come off as this is simply the way that you see the world. This is the way that you create scenes.
Some films I feel I can't shift in a scene or even in a continuity. I have to keep solidly to only one character's point of view. It has to be told like that. some film like White Material, it's mostly Maria's, but because she doesn't want to see, somehow there are other point of view.
Well, I think dramatically in that film, it really does make sense that there's a lot of different characters coming from a lot of different places, and nobody's settled. Nobody has an idea of exactly where things are going, but they all have a different point of view, and you certainly honor that. I'm going to shift a little bit to another clip, and
When we start writing the script, even before the first scene I had in mind, because without one scene I cannot go working on a script. It was the point of view of a French soldier in a helicopter watching a small white woman among trees, coffee trees or whatever, and a farmer, and he yelled at her and says that's your last chance. Come with us, you might be killed. French army is leaving the country, so it's your last chance. And she's doing this. It was, in fact, the point of view of the soldier. First vision of Maria. And it was very helping to write the script. To watch her small and fragile.
Well, I think we're going to, if you don't mind, we're going to switch double back now to a little bit earlier film to talk about as well as you sort of visit this area of the world, you're also sort of very adept at domestic scenarios as well, and urban life. So we're going to go watch a clip from Nanette and Bonnie. And for those who haven't seen the film, it's about two estranged siblings who are brought back into each other's lives. And Nanette is pregnant, and Bonnie is a restless and sexually frustrated young man. He works in a pizza truck, and this is a scene where he is preparing the dough.
Tu me sens, hein? Oh, tu me sens, hein? C'est bon. Ouh, c'est bon, oui. Ouh, 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 ouh. Ah. Bougez pas, bougez pas. Oh, travaille bien comme ça, travaille bien.
I don't think nearly enough people talk about how funny your films can be. Not only funny, but speaking of point of view, I think it's so wonderful how we're not given the point of view to make fun of him or to look at him head on. We're kneading the dough along with him. Why was that so? I mean, obviously that was...
Yeah. These two young actors, Grégoire and Alice, I had worked once with them before, and I really like them so much as brother and sister, so I wanted to do another film, brother and sister, but in a sort of tragedy, because she's pregnant and it's too late, and she has to keep the baby, and he doesn't want her to stay around, but then he realizes he's the only one that could take care of her. And for me, every single scene in the film I was physically involved with both of them. So I think
What does that mean, physically involved with both of them?
I felt them so... They were like not like my children, but they were like part of me, both of them. And now they, of course, they grow up, but they're still part of me. Mm. I really like actors like I like Grégoire and Alice, because they were young people with a lot of trust, and Grégoire was not afraid. It's not an easy scene to do the door in one take, you know? Mm-hmm. And he did it just like that, so it means trust. Mm-hmm. Maybe also it's funny. It's true that I think Grégoire is funny. But
the ooh sound is particularly good.
Yeah.
The high-pitched ooh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Grégoire is great. But I think also he's great because we trust each other, and it feels really good, you know, working with those two kids. They were kids, having dreams of their own and acting for the film. I mean, Alice was 15, yeah. Mm. So I think in that case, it's a loving point of view. I don't know. I was in the film is in the middle of their relation, I think. Mm. Their relation is simply that they do realize that in fact they need each other and they love each other, although they don't know, because they were separated. Mm-hmm. So little by little they admit that they love each other, you know. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I love about the film is that so much of what we see is Bonnie's desires being played out. Either him, in this sense, you see physically what the manifestation of his desire, but you also see dream sequences and him sort of having these romantic notions of people he desires, the lives that they could have. But at the same time, we're allowed to desire him, too. It's not so much that we are subjected to his fantasies. We, in a sense, he's a part of ours.
Yes, I think he has this sort of grace as an actor to be intelligent enough to, in a way, offer himself, you know. He's not... Grégoire never tried as an actor to show that he understands the scene and what it means in the film and blah, blah, blah. He's like someone who dive in the scene and swim, you know. I like that.
he's in a number of your films during this time, and it was in 35 Shots of Rum just a few years ago as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, would it be fair to call Grégoire and Isaac and several other actors, are they muses at all? Are you responding to them and feeding off of them as much as you're directing them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Most of the actors I work with, I think, I don't know, it's a link that is unbreakable, you know? Mm-hmm. Because it's such a secret way of trusting each other, of showing what we are made of, you know? Making a film, you show a lot of yourself, you know, not only as an actor, also as a director. So that link and that trust is something that never stops. For me, that's why I work again and again with the same actors and actresses, because otherwise I'm missing them.
I've heard that from other filmmakers, that how it's such an intense experience to work on a film that to then all of a sudden walk away and barely see each other it's a very traumatic experience. So I would imagine the opportunity to keep going back to those people must be hard to pass
It's
up.
sad with the crew, mm-hmm. But the crew is, we know they go to work with another film, but with actors and actresses, it's always different, because not like the dough, but I touch them, I choose their clothes, I choose the way they speak, they're like mine, you know, and I hate when they work on other films. Even after all those years, you know.
Yeah.
When Grégoire is in a film, I think he's badly lit. That is not like that. He's much better than that. You know, it's and not only Grégoire, Béatrice Dalle, Vincent Gallo, all of them. They are mine.
Well, those of us who love your films, I think, feel pretty much the same way. It's very strange to see them in different films.
But it's crazy, you know. I know it's crazy. They are not mine. But how could I say that? Of course, I know they are not mine. But I cannot believe in them if they don't belong a little bit, you know. I need to possess them a little bit.
Well, in a sense, I think you allow us to possess them too, which is a
yeah.
amazing thing.
Even Isabelle Huppert, I knew her for years, but never worked with her. And everyone said, "Oh, you're working with Isabelle. She's a..." But Isabelle was like a toy. I was always touching her hair. You know, I mean, I wanted... I told her, maybe I will take you home. You know, but it's true. She was mine. She was not Isabelle Huppert.
Well, it says a lot about her then, somebody that established and
she's
well
not afraid to be old.
That's the thing.
No. She likes.
Well, anybody who's allowed themselves to work with Michael Haneke the way that she had, obviously she's okay. She's okay being owned a little bit.
She's brave.
She's very brave, very, very brave. Well, let's move on to another film that stars Grégoire. We've gone to Cameroon and to Paris, and let's move on to Djibouti and the French Foreign Legion for Beau Travail.
C'était un plateau aride qui se terminait en terrasse. Des vestiges de baraquements construits pour des ouvriers. C'est dans cet espace désolé que nous nous sommes installés. Et 3 volcans montaient la garde. Sentinelle.
Légionnaire, à mon commandement, relevez! Par là! Débrouillez-moi tout ça! Prends-moi de l'eau. Rien de noir, vas-y. Cogne ça.
I find it almost impossible to watch just a part of that film. I kind of want to sit here and watch the whole.
I don't like to watch the image normally, but Djibouti is such a strange, very, not magic, but it creates something so weird. It's like a total desert of soul and lava, or salt and lava. And this Red Sea is very blue, but also full of sharks, so nothing is... the wind is blowing, and this wind is full of sand and very hot. So nothing is nice, and yet, I don't know why, it's a place where actually the real foreign legion do train, because the physical conditions are extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. And yet, as we were shooting, maybe we were suffering from this heat and this dryness and this wind, and it was like blowing us away, you know. And when we were rehearsing, I never told the actors that I had in mind to use Benjamin Britten music, Billy Budd, that we had been listening while writing the script. So I play back the music while shooting. But the wind was blowing so strong they couldn't hear very well. So they heard a sort of music in the wind, you know. This is the mixed films, you know, and suddenly everything became like, all their gesture became so solemn and I don't know, like the beginning of the world or something like that, you know. But it's that part of the world is really strikingly strong.
Well, it does seem that whatever shot you choose, whatever sort of part of the landscape you choose, seems wildly different than the last one, in a sense. If you're looking just at the soil, or if you're looking at the ocean, or whatever, it just seems very diverse, actually.
Yeah.
No?
Diverse in what sense?
Well, in the sense that there's the salt beach.
Yeah.
You know, there's mountains.
I can say something I felt as a child. I was there, so I came back for the film. But there is something I remember is we were not allowed to leave the city without giving our name because many people died in the desert, you know. So even going to school was with protection because of the sun, etc., etc. But while we were shooting, I remember it's a place where maybe you feel strong. We all felt strong because it looks in a dream like maybe the earth could be at the very beginning or could be at the very end. No more meant for life. There is no grass, no trees, you know. So it gives a feeling of maybe it's not morbid. It's not. You don't feel, but you feel a sort of you're on Earth by chance. Maybe it won't last. You know, it's very strange.
You had mentioned the opera by Benjamin Britten, Billy Budd, but in a sense, the story is also inspired by Herman Melville's Billy Budd.
Yeah.
This is the first of several films of yours that were at least somewhat loosely based on texts that existed.
Yeah.
Was that? If you could talk a little bit about that sort of decision to sort of was that somehow freeing to you in terms of style and narrative to be able to sort of jump off from a pre-existing work?
It's something that this film, I was offered to do a film, and the French TV who produced that film told me can you make a story that we want to make films about what it is to be a foreigner, what it is to feel foreign, with a quote of Deleuze, to make it very serious, and please not use as a main character a doctor or a journalist, because we have too much of those films already. So I actually felt foreign, and then I found Foreign Legend, and then I realized I knew Djibouti, but then I had nothing to say about the Foreign Legend. I knew nothing. And then I was reading poetry, not Billy Budd. Billy Budd I had read before. Poetry by Herman Melville. And one poem is called, I think, The Night March. And it's a lost battalion of soldiers lost in the night without their commandant or captain or whatever, without a commanding, you know. And they are lost in the night and they don't know where they're going. The only thing they can see is the moon reflecting on the metallic piece of their guns. And this poem was so strong and frightening because those guys were men in arms, lost in the night, looking for their captain, you know. And they were like children lost in a forest, you know. And this poem started all like, and then Billy Budd came after, but it's not to support a story, it's just to create this sort of emotional state. Sometimes it could be a music, you know, where I feel some things strong enough and I can invent a sort of narration. Otherwise, I won't believe if I don't have that emotional state. I mean, it's not an emotional state, it's something that is not firm, is not from me, it's like an echo of something that wake me up to sensation. I was never a soldier, I was never a sailor, but suddenly, being lost, I understood.
And how much comes together editing versus when you're filming a film like this? Does it echo back to you once you actually look at the footage, and does a different film come to you?
This film, Beau Travail, we shot only 4 weeks, and we didn't have so many footage, so I think everything is in the film, you know. It was maybe editing with Benjamin Britten, Neil Young, and the nightclub songs. Yeah, it gives a sort of echo to the sound of the wind. That this wind is so noisy that even at night I could hear it, you know. And no, I think it was, editing was also emotional. Yeah, was still fulfilled with the emotion of the film coming through those actors and this country. And still remembering Night March. I still can feel it when I read that poem. It's very... Some text, it's not that they are emotional especially, but they have, or maybe they give me, they correspond with me in a way that I recognize something that I can describe in a film. I don't know. We had no generator, so we had almost no night scenes. I don't have a night march in the film, but the night march was there all the time. Okay. We were lost.
As hard as it is to move on from Beau Travail, let's watch a film, a clip
but
that...
It's not sad, I'm lost in a good way. Lost.
No, right, in that sense, right. No, there's nothing sad about being lost in that sense. A clip from The Intruder. I think you mentioned the importance of music for constructing Beau Travail, and in this particular clip, music and sound is vital to what you're doing, so it'd be great to talk about that.
Moi, j'aime bien celle-là.
Alors celle-ci, elle est beaucoup plus contemporaine. Elle a des aiguilles dauphines et puis des index obus qui nous permettent d'apposer le poinçon de Genève, qui est un label de qualité. Vous voyez la masse oscillante, qui est en or 21 carats. Et puis l'intérêt de cette montre, c'est de pouvoir apprécier la beauté du mouvement, qui est un calibre automatique 315. Voilà. Ouais, elle vous va bien.
Oui. qu'elle a payé.
Ты не расплатишься,
It's funny because, as you know, I don't know which clip. I didn't choose the clip.
Did I do okay?
No, so it's a surprise for me each time.
In a film where dreams and reality are so thoroughly blurred, I think magnificently intertwined, in a sense, music and sound are the only clues you have, in a sense, to sort of be able to distinguish one sense of reality, or one, instead of calling it dreams versus reality, one possible reality from another.
Yes, Stuart Staple from Tindersticks was really very close in the editing room when we did the intro there. So for the first time, he made this music on his own without the band, and he had a trumpet, and he was looping the music on his own, So we were like working together. Not him working with the band and me editing room. He was with me in the editing room, and the trumpet is something that came from the editing room in a way, like a sort of echo of an instrument he had never used before, neither me. But this film again is blurred also for me, as you say, blurred, because it was completely naively innocent. I never thought I was blurring dream and memories and fear. It came just like that because of that book written by the French philosopher Jean-Luc Nancy about his heart transplant. And for instance, in that book, it's a very short text. He described when he wake up after the heart transplant, the surgeon tell him, "Oh, it's so easy, to change your heart. It's going to be difficult for you, but for us surgeon, it's like plumbing. It's nothing. It's not like as refined as a horlogerie, as a watch, which is." And it's written like that, and somehow everything came in the script in a way. And not only that, because if I may say a little bit more about this scene, it's shot in Geneva, where an Hôtel Beau Séjour, where Jean-Luc Godard worked with Michel Subor first time. And Michel Subor is...
who's the actor we see?
Is the actor, the old guy. He was a very young actor. It was his first film. Running away from the French army to escape the Algerian War, hiding in Geneva, and being then contacted by the extreme right wing of the French army who wanted to stay in Algeria. So it was also a little bit of the film by Jean-Luc Godard is called Le Petit Soldat. So there is just also a little bit of that also in the film, like not a memory of the film, but a sort of connection with Le Petit Soldat. It's all mixed together. So it's true, it's a blur. And for me, it was like I thought I was like a dog sniffing where to go, I was like, I had never... It's a film I made with no doubt, or usually I'm terrified. This film I made with no doubt, the script, everything was simple. It's only when I was in Venice Film Festival with the film ready, and I saw the film and I said, oh my God, what I've done. It's going to be a disaster. I'm going to be... So I left.
You left the festival?
I was walking on the... Yeah, I was walking by the sea. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to drown. I have to kill myself. I've done something I should never have done. It's terrible.
Well, it's not, but you... it's interesting...
No, it was... When I mean it's terrible, it as if... I don't feel like I'm a poet. I don't feel like I'm a musician. Somehow this film came out like that, with that shape. Absolutely, concretely, not poetically, and the blurring feeling came after. I wanted to say that Katerina Golubeva, this beautiful woman riding horse, died last year. So I was happy to see her beauty again.
Yeah. And she was in at least one other of your films, correct?
I Can't Sleep.
Right.
Yeah. And she is also in Leos Carax's film Polar X.
Mm-hmm. Correct, right. Well, I mean, I think we have one more.
And in 29 Palms.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Very bold actress, very bold.
A bold human being also. Yeah.
I thought about that when I selected the clip. I'm glad that you were happy to see her, because it's also tough in many ways, I'm sure. But in the notion of the degree to which Stuart Staples was involved in making this film, and the music is such an important part of this, and such an important, in some ways, like the emotional rhythms that you're going on throughout the film are punctuated by the sort of theme throughout the film.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about, because this is sort of like the last place that I want to take this to, and take it into the last clip, is that degree of collaboration that I think that a lot of filmmakers have a real anxiety when it comes to working with composers and working with musicians, that it's an aspect of the process where you could potentially give up control, because you're basically allowing another artist to create an important part of your film. But it seems like certainly in your collaboration with Tindersticks and Stuart Staples, you're inviting that strong artistic presence.
Yeah, I think I've been lucky, because the music in Chocolat is made by Abdullah Ibrahim, and he was a very impressive. He is a very impressive man, but for me, the music, I'm not afraid that someone might enter the film, and I don't know, for me the music is allowed, and the musician is allowed to search with me. I don't know. And Stuart Staples from Tindersticks, it was completely, it's a great luck that I have met that band and Stuart, because we had absolutely nothing in common. Not the language, he can't speak French. My English is what it is. He has this northern accent. So when we met, I understand none of his word, and he understand none of my English. So we were like nodding to each other in the editing room. And so it creates a sort of we had to do it by hands, not by long talks, So when he did The Intruder, he was tired by touring with his band, and he told me, I'm sort of depressed. I can try, but on my own. And I said, okay, let's try like that, And he's really himself in the film, I think. Yeah.
Let's show this last clip, and I'll set it up briefly. It's from 35 Shots of Rum, which is also involved. This clip also involves music to a large degree, and also a sense of community, and to my eyes, a sense of collaboration between a filmmaker and actors. Briefly, it's about to just talk about it in general, is a sort of an extended modern family lives in an apartment building in Paris, and you have a father and a daughter and their friends that also live in that community, that clearly there's some unresolved romantic notions or feelings there. They all pile into a car and go to a concert, but the car breaks down along the way, and they're waylaid at a cafe after hours, and that's where we're at.
Oui, Pierrot. Oui. Ah, c'est toi qui viens nous chercher? Ouais, un problème de transmission, je pense. Ah oui, mais là, ça va faire trop tard.
Laisse tomber, Gabriel. On n'est pas bien, là.
Pierrot. Ouais, changement de programme, on reste. Ok. Je sais pas si je vais pouvoir venir bosser lundi.
Si bonnet.
Ok. Ouais, merci.
Yo te quiero, yo me muero por tu amor. Si bonnet en tu boca la miel pulsó su dulzor. Ven aquí, que te quiero y que todo tesoro eres tú para mí. Si bonnet.
Toi, tu danses pas.
Pourquoi tout le monde me regarde?
Al arrullo de tu palma pienso en ti. Si bonnet.
Toi alors.
De mi sueño, si no hay es la queza de mi voz. Si bonnet. Si no vienes, me moriré de amor. Si bonnet, de mi sueño, te espero con ansia en mi canal. Si bonnet. Si no vienes, me moriré de amor. Oye el eco de mi canto de cristal.
great song.
Such a good song. I mean, just because we're in front of a lot of people right now, the mysteries of cinema, that scene never fails to make me cry, and I don't know why. Something just so perfect and gorgeous about it. That.
Yeah, because it's also the moment where the film shifts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's during the night. No, it's true.
Of course, of course.
No, I love the song for sure, but there was a purpose for that.
Of course. And you said the film shifts at that point. I mean, so much happens. I mean, I can't imagine more happening in 6 minutes.
The father sees his daughter differently. The father also wants to get rid of the neighbor who is in love with him, and he wants also to show his daughter that he is free also, and the daughter doesn't know if she can. I mean, everyone is showing something. It's the moment where they really feel all those links are too heavy, and maybe it's time to move. To shift.
I mean, you described something that's very complex and tangled, and yet what you show us is something that could not move any smoother. It couldn't possibly.
No. Thanks to those actors and actresses, it's not possible if they were not able to understand the meaning of that, you know. They could say, oh, what is this scene? You said it's the center of the film and there is not one line, you know. What is this? But they did believe in it, so it became really like a sort of a night shift.
On that note, I think we're ready for some questions.
Thank you very much for being here. You have worked very often with Jean-Paul Fargeau on the scripts. Can you say a little bit how that collaboration started and how the working process is going on, kind of?
Yeah, I met him before, while I was writing Chocolat. He's from Marseille, south of France, and he was a young playwright. And we enjoy working together first time, and then it's going on and on. Two exceptions, I think. He's a friend, and I think it's a collaboration that is not. He's not a writer and me a filmmaker. We have the same interest in a lot of things. So it's fine. We can collaborate without the heavy, burden of being working.
Hello. Hi. I had the privilege of watching a Beau Travail last night. It was a stunning film. I just wasn't expecting anything like that. The way I was trying to describe it to people afterwards, and I said it was the most purely cinematic film I might have ever seen in my life. In that, it's hard to describe. That was without dialogue. Just watching the scenes unfold, there was something magical about it, and the use of music was unlike anything I've ever seen in a film as well. So my question for you is, as a filmmaker, and everything was so naturalistic at the same time, what is your background that you came to make a film like that?
I think maybe watching film, listening to music, reading poetry. I mean, the simple things in a way, not learning, just, I don't know, I let things come to me. Not that it's not easy to write a script, it's not easy to shoot a film, but it's important to let a belief grow. Therefore, there is less fear of abandon oneself more, not to be too much afraid, I think. I never think when I'm filming I am making auteur film. I always believe I am just making a film. And then when it's finished and people say, there is absolutely no dialogue, no psychology, explanation. You said the film unfold, but it's the way I watch my own life. I have no explanation, really, I feel like that. So my background is who I am. I'm not typically an intellectual. I'm not a poet. I'm not a musician. Maybe I'm a little bit of all this all together, and cinema was the only thing that I really care for, actually. I don't mean it's so simple. I don't want to answer your question of, it's so simple, I just do it like that. No. But I have a belief, I think. I believe that it will work. I don't know where it came from.
It was interesting to hear you describe Beau Travail this way, and also when you describe The Intruder as having no anxiety. This is how you're going to do. In some ways, those two films in particular, it almost you'd have to approach them that way to pull off what you pulled off. That if you actually were racked with anxiety and self-doubt, or thought about it too much in that sort of self-reflective way, you wouldn't necessarily be able to be as cinematically bold as people are responding to them.
I would say for both those films, for many people, the narration is like so elliptical, Mm-hmm. But for me, it gave this way of telling a story makes me stronger, makes me involved deeply in the film, because I know there are gaps, ellipses, and I have to jump those because they are often already in the script, Mm-hmm. But it gives me a sort of enthusiastic feeling about not explaining. Yeah. But I always try, when I work on a script, this time it finished, I'm going to go to a very traditional narration like everybody else, and I believe also in that, and somehow there is a night shift. No, it's true. I wake up in the morning, I said, no. But I think a lot of people making films, not only me, could feel that a film is, you have written a script, there is a sort of structure, a form, but the film by itself is unfolding. So there is also that reason inside making a film.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your relationship with doubt.
With doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I've read and heard that doubt is creative. Me, I think it's not my way to. I can. Doubt is really not helping me. What is helping me it's a sort of anxiety that concrete details that are not in schedule, anxiety that Katia might fall from the horse, anxiety that these little details like that, it creates a sort of general state of anxiety in me that is erasing the real doubt of is it going to be a film or nothing, you know? Because of course this doubt is always there. Is there going to be a film in the end, you know? Who knows, I'm not sure. But if this doubt is everywhere on the set, then the crew could feel it, the actors could feel that doubt. So I think I have found this way of losing myself in a lot of stress and anxiety that keep me away from the killing doubt, you know. Mm. It comes back in the editing room often. Then I wish I could die. But no, it's funny. Of course, it's a joke when I say that, but it's true also. There is dying moment in the editing room when everything falls apart. It's there, but I don't see. And suddenly, all the doubt I have pushed away from the beginning is coming back like a big tsunami. And that's all I can say about doubt, you know. And then it's painful, but it's the editing room and I have to finish, you know. It's too late, but it's painful, really. And it's good it does not happen before.
So beyond being painful, do you think that at times it's helpful because it actually means that you're seeing multiple perspectives and possibilities as opposed to maybe when you have no doubt, and so which might be kind of a blindness?
No, I don't think so. I think the doubt is always there. The doubt is, am I a filmmaker? Is this film is going to be a film or not? Where, at what moment it will start to be a film and not images and sound, you know? And while writing the script, while shooting, the film exists in a sort of abstract way, but with a shape. And suddenly the doubt in the editing room is enormous because the film doesn't show his face immediately in the editing room. Even though you edited the way you wanted, there is something that is hidden. Like you have to, in archaeology, to dig more to find it. But this moment in between, it's a killing moment, really. I don't know if I answer your question. I think no, but I think you're asking something that I don't understand.
Well, in my mind, I think you approached that question pretty well.
Do you agree?
I do.
Okay.
I'm just curious about how your collaboration with actors and how you direct them on the set. specifically just in all of your films, the way they're shot, they're so physical and so sort of sensuous, and there's no sort of acting going on. And I'm wondering what the process is for you to get to that, I guess.
You described a lot of hands-on Grégoire before.
Yeah, I think it's an easy process because, number one, I like them and I like to look at them. So I would not consider that working with them is just to film them in a scene, but it's to reveal more of them. And after a while, actor, actress, they feel that, you know? They feel that we are seeking with the way we film them for an inner beauty, which is in them, but is striking for me, and I want this beauty, not a physical beauty, more than that, to be in the film. And it's easy for an actor or an actress to feel that look. Looking not for a scene, not for them acting, but for them to reveal something of what we are made of, you know? And I think I trust that so much that in a way they do. And Agnès Godard, who is almost always doing the camera with me, I think she feels the same. Yes.
Thank you, Claire Denis.
Thank you very much.